Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into how scientists can perfectly identify and measure molecules using quantitative nuclear magnetic resonance, or qNMR. Seriously, if you've ever wondered how researchers can look at a ridiculously complex chemical mixture and not just figure out what's in it, but tell you exactly how much of it is there, literally down to the absolute molecule, well, you're in exactly the right place.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the magic of NMR, then unlock quantitative NMR, cover the core rules of qNMR, walk through the four-step process, and finally wrap up with its applications and advantages.
All right, Section 1, the magic of NMR. Okay, let's establish what NMR actually is at its core. Think of basic NMR as basically taking molecules, dropping them into a massive electromagnet, and just pinging them with radio waves. It works because all atomic nuclei have charge and mass, right? But those with an odd mass number or an odd atomic number, like hydrogen-1 or carbon-13, also have a magnetic spin. When you force these nuclei into a powerful magnetic field and zap them with radio frequency energy, they absorb that energy and literally flip their orientation. The real magic happens when the instrument detects the induced voltage as those nuclei relax back and re-emit the energy.
Now, a standard NMR spectrum is so much more than just a graph. It's honestly like a highly detailed facial recognition scan for a molecule. It gives us 5 crucial pieces of the puzzle. It starts with the chemical environment, pinpointing exactly where protons or carbons are hanging out. That seamlessly leads to the number of atoms, which we get directly from the area under each peak. Next, we can see the connectivity through peak splitting patterns, like doublets and triplets, showing us exactly which atoms are neighbors. You combine all of that and you get the overall molecular structure, plus some really subtle clues about the molecule's dynamics and symmetry. It's a complete structural fingerprint. Let's do a quick comparison of the 2 most common isotopes we analyze, because they behave very differently. Hydrogen-1 is basically our rocket ship. It's highly sensitive, incredibly fast, and has a massive natural abundance of 99.98%, meaning it gives us these booming, strong peaks. Carbon-13, on the other hand, is kind of the turtle of the group. It has a natural abundance of just 1.1%, so it's much less sensitive and gives us way weaker peaks over a wider range. To even make carbon-13 spectra readable, we have to use a cool technique called decoupling. By applying continuous radio frequency irradiation to the hydrogen nuclei, we erase the spin-spin coupling effects. This simplifies all those complex, weak signals into single, sharp lines that we can easily read.
Moving right along, Section 2, unlocking quantitative NMR.
So if qualitative NMR is that facial recognition scan we talked about, the one that tells us exactly who is in the room based on chemical shifts and connectivity, quantitative NMR, or qNMR, is the absolute head count. It tells us exactly how many are in the room. Qualitative focuses on what the molecule is, but quantitative NMR is laser-focused on highly accurate integration to measure the exact amount or purity of that substance. It's the difference between just identifying a suspect and knowing the exact number of suspects you're dealing with. Now, you might be wondering, how does it get so accurate? Well, qNMR relies on this absolute gold standard principle. The signal area is linearly proportional to the number of nuclei. You just add an internal standard, and you can hit an unbelievable precision of plus or minus 0.1%. And if you've ever spent hours or days running calibration curves for HPLC, you know what a massive game changer this is. You get perfect data, and no calibration curves are needed at all. Oh, and the best part, it is completely non-destructive. You get your precious sample back perfectly intact when you're done.
Section 3, core rules of qNMR. Of course, to get this superpower of perfect quantification, you can't cheat the laws of physics. The most absolute rule in qNMR actually comes down to one single digit, the number 5. See, accurate quantification requires complete nuclear relaxation between those radio frequency pulses. So, to make sure we get over 99% relaxation, ensuring our integration is dead on, the instrument's relaxation delay, called D1, must always be set to at least 5 times the T1 relaxation delay. Yeah, it takes longer to run the experiment this way for sure, but patience is simply the price of perfect accuracy.
And since we aren't using a calibration curve, you absolutely must add a certified internal standard with a known purity and mass to act as your reliable reference peak. Depending on your specific sample, you've got a few go-to options here. Need something with a sharp signal that's super stable? Grab malic acid. Doing some general quantification? Benzoic acid works great. If you need a standard that is very soluble, DMSO2 is fantastic. And if you're dealing with aqueous samples, TMSP is going to be your best friend.
The really beautiful thing about qNMR is that the math isn't terrifying. You definitely don't need a supercomputer for this. The core principle just compares the integrated area of your sample's peak to the area of your internal standards peak. You just take the area under the peak and divide it by the number of responsible protons for both the sample and the standard. That relationship is directly proportional to the moles of the substance. From there, it's a super straightforward calculation to find your exact molecular concentration.
Up next, Section 4, the 4-step process.
So let's actually walk a sample through the machine. The whole procedure is a pretty straightforward 4-step funnel. Step 1 is sample prep, where you meticulously weigh and mix your sample with that internal standard. Step 2 is data acquisition. You drop the tube into the magnet, lock, tune, and apply that critical relaxation delay we just talked about. Step 3 is data processing. This is where we apply a Fourier transform to unscramble the raw radio signals into a nice, clear spectrum and do our baseline correction. Finally, Step 4 is data analysis, where we carefully calculate those exact peak areas.
Let's wrap things up with Section 5, applications and advantages. Why does this matter in the real world? Well, this isn't just academic theory. It is driving major industries. When a pharmaceutical company needs to prove that a life-saving drug has the exact right amount of active pharmaceutical ingredient, they trust qNMR. Chemists use it for reaction monitoring and calculating exact yields without even having to physically separate the mixture. It's heavily used in biochemistry to measure delicate metabolite concentrations, and it's literally the gold standard for analytical standardization across the board. To put this into perspective, just look at how qNMR stacks up against industry heavyweights like HPLC or GCMS. Sure, NMR instruments have a medium cost, and those long relaxation times mean runs can be a bit slower. But look at the incredible trade-offs. GCMS requires tedious calibration and literally destroys your sample. HPLC needs expensive standards and complex calibration methods. qNMR, it gives you very high accuracy, it's totally non-destructive, and again, no calibration required whatsoever.
We'll leave you with this fun quote from the author of our source material. Don't ask questions, unless they're easy. I'm not Google. And you know, qNMR might not be Google. It's not going to answer easy, everyday questions. But when you strip away the endless calibration curves, it answers the hardest analytical chemistry questions with absolute certainty. So think about it. What impossible analytical mysteries could you solve in your own lab if you had that kind of perfect head count right at your fingertips?